today. We are thrilled to have you here for the special session of Rise Up Mora. As part of our continuous efforts to provide you with the essential skill to excel in your professional life, today's session will focus on mastering the art of facing interviews. Before we begin, for those joining us for the first time, let me give a brief introduction to what Rise Up Mora is all about. Rise Up Mora is an initiative by the IEEE student branch of the University of Moratuwa aimed at helping undergraduates like you to improve essential skills such as CV writing, LinkedIn profile building, and interview preparation. Through workshops and the guidance of industry professionals, we strive to equip you with the tools to succeed. To those who have been with us before, welcome back. We are excited to continue this journey with you. Today marks another step forward as we dive deeper into the skills that will help you excel in your career. We are thrilled to once again announce IFS as our main industrial partner for Rise Up Mora. Many of you may recall IFS from our previous session, and for the new attendees, IFS brings an incredible wealth of industry expertise that greatly enriches our program. Their ongoing collaboration continues to strengthen this initiative, and we are delighted to have their support. And once again, we are thrilled to have IFS leading today's session. As we transition into today's session, we are honored to have Mr. Afraz Ameer, a talent acquisition specialist from IFS, as our guest speaker. Mr. Afraz has a wealth of experience in hiring and talent acquisition, and he's here today to share his knowledge on how to perform well in interviews and make a strong impression on potential employees. We are also delighted to welcome other esteemed members from IFS who have joined us today. Your presence truly adds value to this session, and we are grateful for your continued support. Mr. Afraz Ameer, we are warmly welcome you to share your insights with us.
Thank you, Narmadi. A very good evening to everyone who is present today. So last week, my colleague Sharon had taken you all through a session on CV writing. I hope it was very helpful. And today I'm invited to conduct a session on few tips on all of you on the interview facing. So before we start, let me quickly introduce myself to all of you. So as Narmadi just said a while ago, I'm Afraz Ameer, who is functioning as a talent acquisition specialist at IFS Sri Lanka. So I'm sure you all would know what IFS is. Let me give a bit of more information on the type of company I come from, which is a global software company working with some of the world's largest businesses. So globally, we have 6,000 plus employees, as you can see in the screen. But in Sri Lanka, we have 2,600 plus employees. So a lot of workforce is from Sri Lanka. And we are still growing. The content for the day. So I will be taking you through these topics, which are already on screen, which you can see on the research and preparation, making a great first impression, answering interview questions, communication, and post-interview follow-up. So just imagine you're going to go for an interview. Think about the things what you should consider prior to attending an interview. During the interview, there are lots of do's and don'ts, which you should think about. And I'm here to take you through and get yourself prepared in securing your first job. So let's dive into the topic. Research and preparation. So in regards to research, first of all, company information. So before you attend an interview, make sure that you know about the company, you research on research about the company. So you can get to know about what the company does on their website, on social media, and on recent news online. So why I'm saying to be prepared on this part is because me being a recruiter, I have been part of interviews, ample amount of interviews. So what the interviewer expects from a candidate is to be well prepared, right? So they would expect the candidates to have so what tends to happen is I have noticed that when the panel tend to ask questions from the candidate regarding the company, the candidates tend to go clueless. Trust me, I have noticed that. So that actually doesn't give a good impact. So that actually could make the panel think that this candidate has not done a research on the company. So it could also, there will be high chances for you to be rejected. So that is why you should know about the company that you're applying for. So know about what they do and where they are and what type of, it could be a project-based company or a product-based company. So know what they actually do. Next, understanding the role. So when you're applying for the role, you basically would have noticed that you can be a Java developer, a Python developer, or a Python developer, or it could be anything. So when you're applying, so you know your tech stacks, what you've applied for, and during the interview, you will be questioned based on the JD. So know the role that you're applying for. So go through the JD. So prior to your interview, also make sure that you have gone through the JD well and be prepared. Because what is mentioned in the JD is the requirement from the business side. So be well prepared with that. Interview background. So once you are notified on your interview, you will get to know who you are being interviewed by. So go look up to them on LinkedIn, get to know who they are, their designations, and who you will be talking to, and be prepared for it. And next, technical familiarity. So familiarize, you should familiarize yourself with interviewed by, whether it could be Zoom, it could be Teams. You never know which platform you will be asked to, which platform you will be asked to use, because the company might be using Zoom or Teams. So be prepared and know the tools, and you should be aware of how to screen share if it's required, how to switch on your video, how to unmute yourself. So you should be very thorough when it comes to these platforms, because nowadays you tend to see many interviews are many interviews are happening virtually, because back in the days before COVID, we used to have physical interviews, even in IT companies, most of it. But after COVID, you see majority of them have implemented the virtual part. So still some are following physical interviews, but virtual is you can see a lot of virtual interviews happening in the IT industry. Next is the location details. So if it is this is only for if it's a physical interview. So make sure that you're well prepared and you know about where the location is, where the company is situated. So in case if I'll just take you through it, like you have an interview schedule. So now I'm talking about IFS. So at IFS, you can see we are actually we are in the IT hub where you find lots of IT companies. So there is gate A, gate B, gate C. So you should be aware of the location, from where to enter, and sort of things, because uh, in case if you don't know the location, and if you tend to go through a different entry, you may even your interview time you might even be late for your interviews. So make sure that you know your location and the building and the entry procedures. And when it comes to preparations, this is for virtual interviews. So for technical setup, so you should ensure that you have your computer, your camera, microphone, interconnectivity working well. Because see, I have come across many instances where candidates tend to attend the interview. They used to attend the interview via mobile phone. Even though we have asked them to attend it through laptop, they used to attend using their mobile phone. And the mic sometimes the microphones, even if they log in through laptop, it won't work. And if you ask them to switch on their camera, it doesn't work. So it actually gives a bad, it doesn't look nice, you right? It doesn't look nice because it only carries more weightage on the negative side of uh aspect. So what I would suggest you all is make sure that you have a proper technical setup before attending a virtual interview. Next is the environment. Choose a quiet place, a well-lit place, a well-lit space with a professional background. So there have been instances where candidates do attend the first round of interview. So some candidates, I'll give you two instances where one candidate has performed well in the interview, but however, the feedback which I received was this candidate was technically good. However, we were hearing lots of background noises. We were unable to understand her at times. So that is actually a negative thing, right? So it will be like, so from the second interview onwards, we want to progress her to the second interview. However, just keep her informed, he or she informed that they should have a proper environment. Like they should not have any background noises or sort of things. Second candidate, that candidate would be a very good candidate, it's a different candidate. But however, just because she had a very bad, like they had a background noise and she was not in a quiet place and the panels were unable to hear her, despite her being a good candidate technically, she was not being shortlisted. So you could be that person as well one day. So so please make sure that you actually choose a quiet environment where you are able to hear the panel and also vice versa. Dress code. Dress professionally from head to toe. Even only your upper body is visible. So you must be wondering, okay, why when I'm attending a virtual interview, why do I need to dress professionally from head to toe? Even only when my upper body is visible. So a psychological aspect is that when you are properly dressed from head to toe, you mentally tend to get prepared for the interview. Isn't that so? Because if you just come with only your upper body is like formal and below your waist you're just wearing a sarong, just think that what you will not be mentally prepared, right? You would not take the interview as serious. That's the mentality, right? So when you dress yourself from head to toe professionally, you mentally tend to get prepared. That's a psychological fact. And practice, conduct a mock interview using the video platform. So this is when it comes to virtual interviews. So you already know that you have an interview schedule, a virtual interview. So it's always good to practice and to conduct a mock kind of interview. So there are many options. So you can just get on video. You can ask one of your colleagues to get on video as well, and to be as a panel and asking you questions, and you can practice yourself in that aspect. So this is why this is important is one thing is practice. Second thing is you could actually get comfortable with the platform as well. And you can be readily available in case in the actual interview, when you're asked to screen share or sort of things, you will be knowing, okay, since you know the platform, it will be very easy for you. Notes. Have your resume, job description, and any notes easily accessible. Since it's a virtual interview, panels do tend to have their CVs, your CVs with them. However, in case the panel asks you, like, can I just they could just ask you to do something. They should like give you an assignment to write, take a note, take a piece of paper and write. So make sure everything you have readily available with you. So whatever instructions they give, then you can write on it and you can just show it to them by showing it on the screen. So make sure that you have everything prepared, including a job description in the resume also. Make sure you have it, you know where it is located. So this preparations is in regards to physical interviews. So when it comes to documents, when you're called for an interview, you should always make sure that you do bring multiple copies of your resume, a list of references, and any other required documents. Make sure that you have these details readily available with you. So the best thing I would say is to be mentally prepared. One day prior to the interview, get these things sorted. You should know, you should have, like, you should have your list of references. You should have your documents, other documents, in the sense your qualifications, your qualification certificate, your experience certificates, and any other relevant certificate which you have got. It could be achievements also. Make sure that you put it in your file and keep it ready with you. Because what if the panel tend to ask, so you have done this so and so things, like you have done this in your studies, you have done this in your experience. Can I just show me what you have done in terms of your qualifications or your experience or anything they ask you? You should be able to have it have it in you. Attire, dress appropriately for the company's culture. So one tip I would give you for this is, it's easy. So when you are attending for an interview, first and foremost, research about the company. Research about the company, their environment, their setup, know about the company's culture. So actually you will get to know, so you can dress appropriately to the by matching the company's culture. Example, now if in bank, if like IT industry is different, banking is different. So for a banking industry, if you have applied for a bank, if you want to go for a bank, then you cannot go to a bank by wearing a semi-formal. They expect you to come with ties and sort of things, because that's their environment. In IT industries, know about the culture. Example, I would say in IFS, you can come in semi-formals or formals as long as you dress appropriately. So make sure you know the company's culture first of all, research on them, so it's easy for you as well. Route planning. So I already discussed with you in a previous slide that know the location, plan your route, because at instances, I would just bring you a solid example. It's about me. I just live 1 kilometer away from my office. I'm just 1 kilometer away. So it would just take me around 5 minutes, 5 minutes from my house to the office to park the vehicle and just come and start my work. There are many instances, because you know the traffic here. You know the traffic here. So it takes me 30 minutes. It takes me 30 minutes just to come from my place to here. It's just 1 kilometer, but it takes me 30 minutes because of the traffic. So always know that know your look know that that's why we always tend to ask you all to come 15 minutes prior to the interview, is because in order to avoid these things. So even if it's 30 minutes, that's fine, but make sure you come on, make sure you know the routes, know the location, so that you can avoid such uh, instances where you can like bypass the traffics and stuff, because you see, right? You see on a daily basis how the Colombo traffic is. So plan your route. So the route planning has to be top notch. So make sure, that's why we ask you all to come on time. In early, I mean. Practice. So when it comes to physical interview practices, so you can actually, as I told you now, we did something called virtually, right? If it's a virtual interview, you ask one of your colleague uh, also to join the call, and you can do an interview kind of a thing there. Like your colleague can play the panel mode and the panel character, and you are the candidate. So when it comes to the physical interviews, what you could do is you can ask one of your colleague. It could be anyone, even your sibling or colleague, just or a mentor. You can just ask them to sit right in front of you and just practice. So actually it does help you. Practice does help you. Do practice. Materials. Bring a notebook and pen. Take notes during the interview. This is kind of, not many would do that, but actually it's a good habit, because the person who you are going to be interviewed by, the panel is an experienced panel, right? So when you are new to the corporate world, but the panel is experienced enough, so they would know a thing or two about you. So you could learn a thing or two from them. So it's good to take notes of it, because whether you, even if you get rejected, you will just know, okay, certain things can be recorded. You can have it in a note. You will be able to know, okay, these are the things that you learn from these interviews. So you can actually take learnings out of this. So it's good when you have this, because most of them don't practice this, but I would say it's good. This practice is good. So making a great first impression. Next topic. So make sure you're prepared with an answer to the first question of the interview. Introduce yourself. So I think majority of you in this call would make a common mistake here. When we say introduce yourself, first thing, I am pretty sure everyone will come and tell here, my name is so and so, my name is Afraz, my name is Rifkan, my name is Sharon. They come and tell these kind of things. But that's not what the panel is expecting. When they say introduce yourself, they are not asking you to talk about what is there in the resume, because I'll tell you one thing, the panel already knows your name, your experiences, your qualifications, your phone number, your email ID, everything, because it's already there in the resume. So what's the point of going and just telling them about, okay, my name is so and so? They expect you to tell something which is not there in the resume. So you can just you can just tell them how what was your contribution towards your previous company or your current company. What was your what was your contribution? What have you achieved? How were you able to help your company in going from A to B? So there are many things which you can like discuss upon. So always note that when the panel raises this line of introduce yourself, you never start with I'm so and so and talk about what's in the resume. Talk something apart from it. What's not in. Sorry. So making a great first impression in terms of virtual interviews. So as I discussed, something to add to that previous one in regards to technical setup is lighting. So there was one instance yesterday there was an interview which I came across. So there were two panels and one candidate. So this candidate joined, but when I actually was in the interview as well. I asked the candidate to switch on your camera. He did switch it on. Then, but we were unable to see his face because there was bad lighting. There was no proper lighting also. So I asked the candidate, so can you please switch on? We are unable to see you. Can you please go to a place where there is proper lighting? So unfortunately, he said that is the maximum he has. So there's no other place, even in a different place, even though there's lighting is there, but there's no proper connection. So then I requested from the panel, is it okay? What is your take on it? They were like, it's okay, kind of thing. But I sensed from the way the panel responded, that at, at the first impression itself, they were like, okay, I'm unable to see the candidate. That was kind of a negative kind of a vibe, a negative kind of a feeling. So I would always request you to have a good lighting, because just like how you want to see the panel's face, they also want to see your face as well, because they want to see how your expressions and how you talk and sort of things. Next, background. As I told you, choose a clean and professional background, or use a virtual background. Same thing. So I have, during my 6 years of experience, have seen there were many I've seen who have been interviewed. So they just come on video. They will have their background is very messy, very messy. I could see their bed, everything is very messy, and so it doesn't look nice, it doesn't look presentable. So what first impression you need to give has to be proper, right? No one, now you wouldn't, now will you actually accept someone who doesn't, like, what will your impression be? Just think for yourself, what will your impression be if you don't get a first good impression from someone else? Just like that, because we are all professionals, the panels, everyone are very professional, so they tend to look at how organized you are, and in regards to how professional you are. So you don't tend to attend an interview by keeping your background visible. That's what you can, even if you find your background messy, always tend to use virtual backgrounds. There are ample amount of virtual backgrounds also. You have that option. So make sure you use that. Use your virtual background if you're unable to keep your environment, uh, if you're unable to have a clean environment. Next, appearance. So as I discussed, always wear professional attire. Always tend to know the company's culture. As I discussed previously, always tend to study about the company's culture and where your attire based on that. So and also I would say is that now when you go for an interview, the first impression what you could do is when you dress properly, like your shirt is ironed and everything, you will look good, right? So when you walk inside a room, now when you actually example, now you have been studying, some would be working, some would be studying. So I would say, what if you get one of your colleague just come in walking in front of you, not ironed and everything, and they are not dressed properly, you would have a different impression, right? So just like so we professionals expect you all to dress professionally and have a proper attire when attending interviews. So make sure that you are well dressed and ironed and sort of things. And grooming, pay very much attention to grooming, because I have, so all these things what I'm telling you is I have come across many instances. I have seen candidates in that perspective, and even I have had a negative impression on these candidates as well. So when it comes to grooming, always tend to make sure that you, like one day prior to your interview, you get yourself groomed and you comb your hair and you come and sit in front of, and you come for the interview. Because there have been where candidates tend to attend the interview. At many instances, I've seen that many of you, I mean, maybe they used to come with messy hairs and not proper, just wearing a t-shirt, in the sense what they wear just for whom, just not even properly dressed up, and they just come and sit in front of the lab interview. So that doesn't look nice. So it only will actually, it only affects the first impression what the panel will have in you. So you always that's what I'm telling you, like make sure that you dress professionally and groom yourself. Punctuality, log in early. So when it comes to virtual interviews, your interview has been scheduled at 10 a.m. If you join the meeting at 10 a.m., what if you're unable to share, when you're unable to switch on your camera, you have any audio issues? To avoid that only, we tend to ask you all to join 5 minutes early, 5 minutes prior to the scheduled time, is because so that you can check your audio setup, you can check your video and sort of things. Just imagine that the panel is on call, you are joining at 10 a.m. and you join late. That actually shows that you're not serious enough, and you join on that set time. You join on the set time, and then your audio is not working, your video is not working, then the panel will be on the call and you will be doing your preparations there onwards. So that also makes the panel think that, okay, this candidate is not prepared, with the necessary arrangements. So it doesn't look good on you. Engagement, eye contact. So look at the camera, don't look here and there. It doesn't look nice. So why I would say this is, now the panel, when we're having virtual interviews, the panel from the other end, when they're talking to us, just look at the camera, just look at straight at the camera, because there have been instances when the candidates don't look at the camera, they look somewhere else. So what the panel thinks is that, okay, this candidate was seeking help from someone else, or this candidate is looking at another desktop. So that could also be a reason for you to get rejected. I have actually got this kind of feedback. I have seen from panels from my previous company. Actually, I've actually got these real feedbacks. Thing was like, this candidate was getting assistance from someone else. But when we discussed, the candidate said no. But these are little things which you need to amend and be very careful of. Just look at the camera. That's what's needed. Body language, sit up straight and use appropriate gestures with the camera frame. When you sit straight. Don't rotate your chair. It doesn't look nice. It looks very unprofessional. Just sit straight and don't use the appropriate gestures when you are talking to the panel. Smile. A warm smile can help create a positive atmosphere, because if you have a stern face, even the panel wouldn't get that vibe talking to you. They would, even if just think the interview has been scheduled for 45 minutes to 1 hour. If you are having a stern face, even I wouldn't want to continue the interview or have the interview until 45 minutes. I would rather cut you off and just shorten the interview. So always smile. Smiling is good. It does create a positive atmosphere. So now a great first impression when it comes to physical interviews. As I told you, 10 to 15 minutes early to show punctuality. This is why I told you is like, because there could be many instances. One is to avoid traffic. Second thing is there will be security clearance, security checkups and clearances. So you need to get your parking, then you need to have your security clearances there. And then what if now your interview has been scheduled in the 18th floor, on the 18th floor, and you have to use the lift. So once you clear the security, you have to go to the lift. So you will not be the only one who needs to go to the 18th floor. There will be other employees also there. Example, you think I take IFS. So there are many IT companies around here. So there will be the lift will be every floor. Most of the floors it will be stopping. So that will actually take you a good 4 to 5 minutes. So that's why we ask you to arrive on time, because when an interview has been scheduled from 10 a.m., example 10 a.m. 10:45 a.m., 45 minutes. So why we ask you to come on time is because you should know one thing. The first thing is to make to this apart to avoid many this is main thing is to make sure that you arrive on time. Second, the other part from the panel's perspective is the panels would have meetings arranged after that time, so they wouldn't be able to have a complete interview with you. So you wouldn't also get a proper time to have to showcase your talents, your experiences, your achievements, and so on. So that's why we ask you be on time, so you can have a good 45 to 45 minutes the schedule time with your respective panel. Know the location. This was already discussed in my previous slide. Appearance. This was also has been discussed in my previous slide. So know about the company culture. So that will actually make it easy for you to wear your attire in terms of facing an interview. This was also discussed in my previous slide. So it does make a very good impression. It does make a very, very good impression, because because you walk inside for an interview, but your interview has been scheduled only with the panel. That's what you think, but that's not the thing. So when you are walking inside the premises, you will be meeting multiple people here, the receptionist, the security. So in case you get selected, everyone will know you. Everyone will tend to know you because they have seen you already. So that's why I'm telling you, always make sure you have a great first impression. It's presentable, right? Because everyone's going to work with you one day if you get selected. So if you are groomed well, if you have been dressed appropriately, it's nice, because you would expect that as well, because it's not only us, everyone would expect the same, right? So please do keep in mind. Greeting. So when it comes to firm handshake, let me tell you, a handshake could determine your confidence level. When you give a firm handshake to your panel member, to your respective panel, when you're giving a firm handshake, you have to have a strong grip, like hold their hand and look at their eyes. So that is that I have felt that, because that is what I learned also. You don't give a soft handshake, you give a firm one. Hold their hand firmly and just shake it. Just look at their eyes. It actually will, from the panel's perspective, they'll be like, okay, this guy's confidence level is up. that actually is a good thing. Introduce yourself, clearly state your name and express your pleasure to meet them. So when you shake your hand, like when you shake the panel's hand, just tell them, hi, I'm Afraz, and it's nice to meet you. But it's actually greetings. Greetings are always pleasantable, right? It's always nice. So let's dive into the next topic, answering interview questions. So there are a few questions which have been mentioned here, which I'll be like taking you all through. So these are common questions which you will be asked. I wouldn't say all the questions, but definitely you will be asked this question. You will be asked when one of these questions come, you will remember me. I guarantee on that. So tell me about yourself. As I told you, so talk about what is not in your resume, about something that is not like something you would have done in your education, which is not in your resume, something you would have done in terms of your project, in your experiences, what you have learned, and why you are interested in this role. So I'll tell you, there have been candidates, when I ask the candidates, why are you interested in this role? Because we have this question in our screening questions to candidates or to all the candidates. The common answer I receive from everyone is, I love IFS. I would like to work in IFS because of because of the culture, because of the environment, and also because my friends are working there. That's not what the panel is expecting. The panel is expecting something apart from that. Something, why you think that you have chosen this job? What makes you apart from the rest? So always know that when you are answering this question, you specifically state you will not be the only one who will be you will not be the only one who has come for an interview. There'll be multiple people along with you who has come to attend. So state something which keeps you apart from the rest, because then you will be remembered. Okay, this so and so candidate stated this. So it's something nice, right? Don't always use the common things, culture, environment, because my friends work there. That's not what we're expecting. Why do you want to work here? As I told you, research the company and align your career goals with the company's missions. Tell them what you have learned in your career and what the experience you have had, how those are going to benefit the company, whether it could be IFS or any other companies, whatever companies you're applying for. Just think about, research on it. Research how is this particular role and and the company's goals and mission goals, and how am I gonna help them improve, help them reach those. So always give a proper answer suitable to that. So for that, you need to research the company and align your career goals. What are your strengths and weaknesses? I would say many would only mainly highlight on the aspect of, okay, I have so and so strengths, I have this many strengths. They will give a big list. Thinking, okay, if I name so many strengths, the panel would think, okay, I have got this much of strength, so this guy is the ideal person. Not really. You highlight on your strengths, that's good, but there should be weaknesses also, because every human will have a weakness, right? So what the panel expects from you is, when you tell them weaknesses, they would expect you an answer from you, what are the steps that you have taken to tackle those weaknesses, to overcome those weaknesses. That's what they're expecting. That's what every panel would expect, not only to name the strengths, high number of strengths and one or two weaknesses. I know that everyone thinks that, okay, if I name lots of weaknesses, the panel might think, oh my God, okay, this guy has lots of weaknesses. They don't have that mindset. If you're having a weakness, also have a solution. What are the steps you have taken, the initiations, the efforts you're going to put in. Next, use the STAR method. So I think this STAR method is really going to help you, because this is my third job. So I have got this question in all three interviews for me. They have asked me the similar question, the same thing. for me in all three of my interviews. It actually helps structure your answers properly. So situation. So this is basically a panel would raise a question to you. Have you ever faced a challenge, and how have you overcome those? Like what are what have you ever come across a challenge? So what you have to initially do is you have to describe the context within the challenge, what kind of a challenge you faced, and if a task or anything, a challenge you have come across. It could be anything. Now you would example on a project, you would have come across a challenge. So you can relate those challenges, what you have got, a situation kind of a thing. And to those challenges, the next thing is the task, a task. So explain what the actual task or challenge involved. What was the problem? What was actually the challenge you faced in that particular incident? What was what was the task and what was the challenge which you came across? Next, the action. Action is where the initiatives, the actions you took to address the challenge. It could be anything, right? It could be any, like the steps you have taken to rectify that or overcome those. So that's what the panel also would expect. So when a question has been asked for you in regards to explain about a challenge which you have come across, and the result, share the outcomes or results of your actions. So don't think when it comes to this, you should always come up at the end. You should always come up with the outcome. What happened after your steps? What was the outcome of it? So don't think about positive or negative. Sometimes there will be challenges. You would have come across challenges. You would have you would have put your ample amount of efforts. You have taken different steps, and you would have ended up in a negative outcome. That could happen. Don't always focus on the positives, focus on the negatives also. That's nothing bad. But what we see here is what are the steps you have initiated, what kind of ways you have thought. So these are different. So we tend to know that, okay, this particular candidate has tend to see this problem in different aspects. So this candidate has tried their best to overcome this challenge. But end of the day, you didn't get the results what was required. So be honest, and if you can tackle this STAR method properly, all good to go. So don't think about, okay, my issue is not that big. It's just a small challenge. Everything is a challenge, whether it's small or a big, everything is a challenge. Just tell the panel, if you come across a situation like this, just tell them how the initiation you did. What we expect is your effort, what kind of steps you have taken. So next is practice, practice, practice. Without practice, you're not going to achieve anywhere. So as I told you previously, also do ample amount of mock interviews with your friends or families or colleagues, because you can actually get to know where you need improvements. Like because only when we practice we tend to know different aspects, if different perspectives and sort of things, and you can learn. There are a lot of learnings when you practice. So always tend to do mock interviews prior to attending an interview. It is really helpful. Record yourself. So what I mean by record yourself is when you're doing an interview, when you have an interview scheduled for tomorrow, so when you're doing a mock interviews, record yourself. So when you record yourself, and once you have completed the practice session, you can just go and view the recordings. You can also go and see, okay, these are the areas I need to improve, because we may speak, but we don't know the mistakes we make. So if you record, you will have a clear picture of how so what was happening during the interview process, and what are the areas for improvement. This could really help you. Feedback. Seek constructive feedback and work on areas where you can improve. So this feedback would, so once you have done mock interviews, and you can, so as I told you, once you do this kind of mock interviews, you will tend to learn lots of things, areas for improvement, where you are lacking, what needs to be improved, uh, how I should answer these questions. So many things can be learned and avoided on the actual interviews. Okay. So next, be honest and authentic. So we actually expect candidates to be very honest and authentic when regards to answering questions, because uh, what you say, what you have mentioned in your resume, that is a first look for us, and it is recorded. It is recorded, and what you communicate. So we actually call you for an interview based on your resume. You have this relevant skill set, experience, and then once you call, and whatever you communicate to the panel, it is recorded. It is recorded. They take notes of it. So based on what your resume says and what you speak, we take a note of it, and if you're good enough, we hire you. However, you should also understand that there is a process. If you get selected, there is a process which is called as BGB, a background verification process. So why we ask you to be honest and authentic is, if you get selected and have if you have not given the right details, if you have not mentioned the right details in your resume, and if you have not given your right explanations, like you have given a total different thing, that you have worked for 1 year, but you have put for 2 years and given, those actually will be, uh, they will actually get to know the real answer once, when we do your background verification checks, because we actually get to know if you have done some, because we tend to check with the universities, with the previous companies and sort of things, we verify it. So what happens is, when we get to know that you have misled, you are given wrong informations, so we get a red kind of a thing where your BGV is red. So that means you will not be hired. We will actually revoke the offers also. So that's why we ask you to be very honest and authentic in regard when it comes to your preparing your CVs and when answering questions. Be honest, the right job awaits for you. If you are to get that job, you will definitely get it. If you don't know the answer to a question, always be honest. Just tell them. You don't try to sugarcoat anything. Just tell them, if you are asked something, okay, you might think, okay, if I don't know this answer, but if I just leave it blank, or if I say I don't know, they might not hire me. No. Tell them honestly, okay, I actually don't know the answer to this, but I'm willing to learn. That's nothing bad, right? Because we all learn. Even I learn. Each of us, every single day, it's a learning curve. It's a learning day for us. I'm sorry. So admit, be honest, and say, when you don't know something, always say, I'm sorry, I don't know, willing to learn. Simple. Honesty is very much appreciated, trust me. Ask questions, show interest, like always tend to, at the end of the interview, always tend to ask questions. We very much appreciate when candidates ask us questions, relevant questions about the role, team, and company culture. The right person to answer you those questions would be the panel, because you are going to be you are interviewed by the respective panel who is working for the respective team, same team which you are being interviewed for. So to know about your role, they are the best people to answer those. So always tend to ask, keep a list of questions prior to the interview, and prepare your questions and keep it with you. So it will really be helpful for you at the end of the day. You can ask them those questions. Trust me, some candidates actually get shortlisted because they ask some very good questions that actually shows their interest. Clarify doubts. As I told you, use this opportunity, like you might to clarify any doubts what you would have about the position of the company. So when you are actually talking to the panel, ask if you have any clarifications about the role or anything. If you have anything in mind, don't come to a conclusion. The right person, as I told you, to ask about the role is the hiring team, the panel. So you ask any questions you have, clarify it, because there are instances where candidates have completed the interviews, but they tend to come, and since they have our email IDs, they tend to come and ask us questions which are relevant to the projects which we don't have much in-depth knowledge of. So they could have simply asked that during the interview to the panel itself. So please make sure that you clarify all your doubts with the panel itself. So next topic is communication. Very important topic. So clarity. Speak clearly and at a moderate pace to ensure you understood. So no, not faster, not slower, at a moderate pace. The panel should understand what you speak. They should understand what you speak. Because sometimes audio qualities may vary. Even when you speak, they may not tend to hear you properly. So be a bit loud and and ensure that you are speaking clearly. Pauses. Allow for slight pauses. So when you're talking about yourself, don't go at a stretch. Just leave some pauses after every sentence. Make sure you tend to have some pauses, because you give some space for the panel to ask you questions. You can give some space for panels to ask you some questions. So don't talk. Don't always have a one-sided this conversation. Like, don't go on and on and on and on. After every sentence, just leave a pause, a 2-second pause maybe. Technical issues. Be prepared to handle technical glitches calmly and have a backup plan. So in case you come across any technical issues, like just say that you got a power outage. So you're unable to you're unable to log in. So your battery is also down, your hotspot, there's no connectivity issue. Some issues you might come across, but you have the recruiter's email ID where you were reached, that particular email ID where you got invitation. So reach out to the panel, reach out to the relevant recruiter, drop them an email stating that unfortunately so and so incident happened. You should drop this email once you know that once you get to know that you're unable to attend the interview due to some technical issues. Don't keep us hanging. So you should know what you should keep us informed as well, because that is very important. This is very important for you to for you all to keep us informed on that. Background noise. So as I told previously, so ensure a quiet environment to minimize. So this is not similar to that, something different. So this is how, what I would say is, like, in case there will be instances where you have prepared everything, you have done a wonderful preparation, but unfortunately there has been a construction happening, which is beyond your control. You did the preparations in house, but outside your house, it's very unpredictable. They all of a sudden they started constructions, or you have been asked to babysit all of a sudden for some important reasons. So then when you start the interview, communicate it to the respective panel, apologize to them, I'm sorry, so and so, and you explain them situation, to apologize on the background noise or anything, and just keep them informed. It is a nice way to do it. Just keep them informed. Communication when it comes to physical interviews. Speak clearly and confidently, because when it comes to physical interviews, it's not like how you attend the virtual interviews. Because physical interviews, you have to project your voice accordingly, and you have to speak clearly, and that actually a panel member can actually figure out how confident you are in terms of what you speak, in regards to how you present yourself. So make sure that you speak clearly and confidently. Pauses. So same thing, what I discussed in the previous slide. May have some 2-second pauses after every sentences, in order for the panel to ask you questions. So non-verbal cues. This is to pay attention to the interviewer's body language. So what I would say is, like, now you have been asked, you're talking about something to the panel about some topic, and you can actually, trust me, you can actually sense the panel's pulse, whether Are they interested in that or not interested? You can see, you can adjust your responses accordingly when you tend to figure it out. That's why I'm telling you, pay close attention to the panel about their body languages and everything. So pay a close attention. So basically, it will definitely help you to adjust your responses accordingly. Because there are, because panels tend to expect answers, different answers, right? Because they are at an experience level. So what the answers they are expecting would be something else. So always try to have the conversation interesting and adjust it according to their body language. So be aware of the interview setting and adapt your communication style. So this could be, now you see there will be interviews happening in office, or there will be interviews happening at career fairs. So know your the adaptation of the environment and the communication style which you should use. For example, I'll tell you, there is one of the hiring managers which I started working with previously was he has told us that his interview, the way he interviews people is not through this virtually or like a formal kind of a thing. What he likes is he likes to take the candidate to a cafe, drink a cup of coffee, and talk to the candidate. That is his style. So always know, be aware of the interview setting and adapt, and so based on that you can actually choose your communication style. So it's different, right? So next topic is the post-interview follow-up. So once you're completed with your interview, it's always good. It's always nice to send a thank you email within the 24 hours. Just send a thank you email to the relevant recruiter who you already would have the email IDs, email addresses with you. So just send them a thank you email within 24 hours saying, so it's actually a good thing, right? So it actually gives a good impression also on like when we see those emails. Now I get some emails, when I get emails like this, it actually is very nice when a candidate thanks us for taking you through different levels of interviews or so on. So always tend to send a thank you email. Reflect on the interview and note areas for improvement. So you can also uh, so in this aspect you can always request for feedbacks. So you are encouraged after the interview to, once you can always request for feedbacks from the respective recruiter in regards to how you performed in the interview, and you can take a note of it. It could actually help you to improve that. It could actually make you determine what are the areas I need to improve, the lack of what was wrong there. So we always encourage you to ask feedback from us. We tend to provide feedback. We tend to provide feedbacks to all the candidates. But you also should, in case if you miss out, means you should always, if you haven't got the feedback, always reach out and know your feedback. Follow up if you haven't heard back within the specified time. So I would ideally say for this, after your completion of your interview, 48 hours, you can reach out to us requesting for a feedback. You can follow up on your status, but however, not all the time it will be the same instances, because sometimes we will be doing lots of interviews for the role. So it might take actually a week also to complete all the interviews to get a collective feedback for each candidate. So after all the interviews have been completed, we tend to choose the right candidate. The panel used to choose the best candidate out of it. So 48, but keep 48 hours as a follow-up where you can follow up, but at times it might even take a week depending on the number of candidates we want to interview for this particular role. Manage your LinkedIn account. So what I would say is, like, once you have attended an interview, maintain your LinkedIn account very well, because whatever you reflect on your CV, make sure that the same on your LinkedIn as well, and keep it updated, because we recruiters tend to look at LinkedIn profiles, ample amount of LinkedIn profiles. We check on the LinkedIn profiles. If it's not updated, we just uh, we just avoid it. So what you can do is by your LinkedIn account is, so once the interview has been completed, You can send connection request on LinkedIn. So it's a professional platform, right? You can just connect the hiring manager, or you can connect with us, and you can get to know about the upcoming vacancies. If you have not got selected, you can get to know about the upcoming vacancies if you start following the recruiters there. So it will be helpful for you. Do not stop. Important thing. So LinkedIn is a professional platform. However, candidates, there have been instances where candidates, soon after the interview is done, they go to social, they open their social platforms, Facebook or Instagram, and they start sending requests to the panels and the hiring team. I mean, the recruiters and sort of things. Avoid doing that. It doesn't look nice. Even if you have created a good impression, if you have created the best impression, this kind of act will actually overshadow the impression that you have made. So it will only have a negative impact on you. So do not stop. So finally, what I would say is you need to be prepared, because you don't get a second chance to make the first impression. Face your interviews, all the interviews. It's like the last interview you're gonna face. When you tend to do that, you will tend to be serious on it, and you will tend to perform well. That is what I believe in, because I face my interviews as I'll give my best. I'll give my best when it comes to when I'm a candidate. I tend to give my best. Whatever I have in my mind, I'll try to communicate, and I'll try to I'll attend that as if that is my last interview. So as I'm telling you, you don't get a second chance to make the first impression. So yeah, thank you. So any questions? Let's see. Yes, I have seen some questions coming here. Is it okay if we use our photo on CV with a sleeveless dress, especially for girls? I would say is there are some attires which are professional attires which are there. Wear sleeveless in the sense you don't wear a banyan, right? You actually, there are proper office attires, office sleeveless attires where you can actually have those as a photo, but those should be proper office attires. Next is, hi sir, I'm from CSC 21 batch. 7 of us from CSC have applied for IFS internship. When we asked why there was no response, even after 2 weeks, they said that they would give a response on Monday, but there still is no response. May I know why there is no response? Okay, so what happens here is, so we get ample amount of CVs for internships. Okay, so we at IFS, one of the leading IT companies, so in Sri Lanka, and we recruit at high numbers. So we get ample amount of CVs. You look, we actually get around hundreds and hundreds of profiles. So the team is reviewing the profiles. The team is reviewing the profiles, and they will be calling you sooner. They'll be calling you sooner, and when they know that you are right fit, they will be getting the call, because the team is still reviewing those profiles. That's why it takes a bit of time, because we have hundreds of profiles which we are screening, and which we have got. Is it okay to have one column CV? One column CV. It's always good to have a very organized CV. So I would say is like don't have many pages. So you can choose your own format. You can choose your own format for your CV, but make sure you include the relevant details into your CV. Now, don't ever mention your CV with a without mentioning your roles and just mentioning your designations. You can have a CV where you have made sure you can choose your own format, but make sure it's a nice CV. Don't overcolor it. Is it okay if I ask for feedback on my performance at the end of the interview? You cannot ask this at the end of the interview, because as I told you, uh, the hiring managers are actually interviewing more candidates along with you. So for them to put their notes and have an internal discussion, it takes a bit of time. So I told you, as I informed, after 48 hours, you can actually request for a feedback on the interview. So one has mentioned, hi sir, what if we have some kind of unrelated interested areas in the CV? As an example, I'm doing engineering, but I have done something related to finance and management. Would I be questioned further, or is there any possibility to get those experience as well? So if you have done engineering, then if you have done something related to finance, that could actually be a question to be asked from you during the interview, that why you have done engineering and why have you done something related to finance. So basically that actually shows there will be indications where you don't know, you like you are not aware of the career which you are going to choose. Because if you have done an engineering degree and if you are focusing on finance, so you will not have, because what we tend to think is, okay, what's your path, what's your clear path. So if you have done certain things on engineering degree, that's what I'm telling you, when you're preparing, when you are like preparing a CVs or anything, make sure you mention what is relevant to the job, to the job you're applying for. Does the CV design matter? Can we use ATS friendly latex CV for SC application? Design doesn't matter. You can use whatever thing. You don't have to design your CVs accordingly, anything, as long as the CV is organized and it's user friendly for us to see it properly, then that is good. Can we ask for a feedback in mock interviews? Mock interviews are done not by us, it's done by you with your colleagues and family members. So you should be getting this feedback from the relevant person who you have kept in right in front of you. It could be your sibling or your mentor or your colleague. You should get the feedback from them on the areas which could be improved. Based on that, that will actually help you to learn and then face your actual interviews. Hi, sir, would you recommend putting the photo on CV? I would say from my perspective, yes, definitely. Definitely, yes, because we should know the person who we are interviewing, right? Um, I think that's it. All right. So all right, so let's wind it up. So you can so basically there's a link over here, as you can see in our screen. So just write it on the web. Please write this link on your web, and you can provide the feedback on this session. So it will be really helpful for us as well. Thank you on that. And plus, you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and you can keep up to date with us on our requirements, on the open requirements as well. Thank you.
As we come to the end of today's session, I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Mr. Afraz Ameer and the entire IFS team for their time and for sharing their expertise with us. Your advice on facing interviews and preparing for the job market is sure to be helpful for all of us. And all our attendees, thank you so much for your active participation. We hope you found this session valuable and that it will be help you succeed in your future job interviews. Have a great evening ahead.